You're listening to Through It All, where stories come alive and faith finds its voice. Each episode, individuals who've encountered life's highs and lows will be heard, and through it all, they witness the undeniable faithfulness of God. This isn't just about sharing stories. It's about celebrating God's enduring love and transformative power of His grace. Welcome to Through It All. Well, thank you for tuning in and taking the time to spend time with me, Pastor Jason, as we share stories from my office. And I have a very special guest today, Miss Kathy Lowis. Kathy, thank you for being here.
It's my honor.
So, Kathy, you've been here for 17 years in ministry. And the thing that I'm most excited about is I think sometimes as a public figure or someone who works is seen that sometimes people don't know the full story. So that's what I'm excited about today. And so 17 years as Director of Engagement, and we built this because of your personality and who you are, and it fits you so well. You're unbelievably talented. And I would say that those who are listening that know you, I think they're going to be blessed by hearing more about you. So you're also a dear friend. My children, you almost were a second mom, what you say, back when they were young?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together. I got to love on them and enjoy the crazy of the Zimmers.
The Zimmer brothers and the daughter that was there. So I'm excited because you're a dear friend, and I'm hoping and praying, just like we prayed before we started, that this will be a place to people to get to know you a little more. But ultimately, like we were talking about, we want people to see how God has been with you, has moved in you. And I will say this, the last 2 years, I don't even know who you are anymore. I mean, like the transformative work of God in your life is incredible. So we're not going to back up too much, but we're going to kind of start, and then I'll kind of lead us through this. But a little bit about your background. What'd you grow up in, faith or no faith, or what was it?
Well, I started with no faith, so I didn't know who God was at all, besides just that He was a swear word that started swear words. I think that I was 6, maybe. My parents got divorced, so our life kind of changed. And
so but you were Catholic, right?
not to start.
No, nothing.
No, nothing.
I did not know that.
Yes,
okay.
we were nothing. We were nothing. And then we got moved into Kalamazoo. We went from Portage to Kalamazoo schools, and then we lived in government subsidized housing. So that was quite the experience. I learned how to fight and how to protect myself and my siblings. So I like to refer to like blanket parties, and I had my fair share of figuring out how not to be involved or under the blanket a lot of the times.
Scared or no scared?
Scared death. I was so scared. I was sick every morning before I would go to school. I would throw up, and I would make concoctions in the toilet trying to get out of school. The principal called my mom every day that I was in the office, and then he would drive me home from school and drop me off because I think he thought my mom was kind of pretty, which is kind of creepy. But that was my kind of childhood until 6th grade. So I think from 2nd till 6th grade, that was my life. I just was in fear constantly, falling further and further behind in school, feeling less valued and less seen as the days went on. And then my mom got remarried to a Catholic. So that's where I first heard about religion and heard about God. And we went from government subsidized housing to a house in Ashtamo and St. Monica's. So that was quite the change. I entered St. Monica as a 6th grader.
So public school
Yep.
to private Catholic school.
Yes, and we were the only kids in St. Monica at the time with divorced parents, because that's not a Catholic thing for sure. So I struggled. It was really hard to like make friends, and I just was the odd person out. And then I finally figured out to make friends was to kind of become what you really aren't. So I kind of took on this facade of a troublemaker and maybe a little bit more confident than I really was. I just put on a good front. And that's where I found my value in the school, and that's kind of where I found my value in my home. I then continued on to Hackett, and we had the opportunity, as always, to do confirmation and be baptized and become Catholic, but I really did not get along with my stepdad, and I said that I wanted to be Jewish. So
let's just pause
yeah,
just for a
I
moment.
know.
What was the response of the nuns and everyone?
I spent every single day in detention. So I graduated from Hackett not knowing 1 ounce of religion, because every single class I would say a comment, and then Sister Diane would send me to detention. And Father Larry,
So they would send you to detention because
of my outbursts
outburst of what?
of I wanted to be Jewish, or the other one is I believe in divorce, which that didn't go over very well either. So I don't believe in divorce. Now, as a grown person, you all listening, I don't believe in divorce.
Yeah,
but
so I'm sure, like, I've worked with you for 17 years, and I thought I knew you, but I'm getting little teeny things right now that are just going to be the best. So you would sit in class and scream out, "I believe in divorce,"
Yep.
and then you get sent.
I
Was
would
that a
get
way
sent.
to get out of the
100%, 100%, because I didn't understand anything they were talking about. There was just weird things, like we had to wear uniforms always, and you had to wear culottes, and there was just so much that went down. And then Hackett, we didn't have to wear culottes, but there was definitely a peer pressure that was stronger than anything I ever experienced to that point, where if you fit in or you didn't fit in. And of course, I opted to do all the things that you would do to fit in, which is, now you look back, you're like, wow, I sold my soul just to be, to find my worth. And that was so sad.
But do you think that's out of your, trying to find yourself,
Oh, 100%.
your identity,
My identity.
who you are as a person, and then I'm assuming too that practicing Catholicism at home was probably not.
Oh, it never was.
But that's where you claim something, but it doesn't mean anything other than that. So you're the type of person that can smell out fake pretty quick.
Yes, 100%.
So, because we talk a lot about authenticity. And I think it's one of the things that people resonate with you is because you are very authentic and easy to, like, I think people look at you and go, she gets me. What's the thing you always say?
Real sees real.
Real sees real. And yeah, so, but you don't know any of this when you're young. So you traverse on, make some bad choices and things like that. But one of the great choices you made, you married this guy named Larry. How did that all shake down?
I met Larry, wow, I'm going to age myself, 1983, right out of high school. I met him the summer out of high school, and I had been dating and just living life in a way I didn't want to live life. So I kind of made a pact to myself. I'm done dating, I'm done partying, I'm done being that person. And we went to Hobie's, it was called, to see this guy I knew from high school that went to Portage Central, and he played the saxophone in this band. So I went to meet him and go on a date. We had known each other through hockey and stuff, but I showed up and I walked into Hobie's and their band was playing.
Is Hobie's like what is Hobie's?
It's a restaurant downtown Kalamazoo. They just closed. They just closed and sold everything. So that was our place. But I walked in and saw this guy in orange parachute pants, checkered Vans, and he had the coolest, wild, curly, mohawkish hairdo going on. And he was singing that song Wild Thing. I know, sorry. But it was like, I looked at my friend, I said, I am going to marry that man. And
do you know, this is almost ridiculous now, that I've had at least, you've listened to all the shows, right? How many times has someone
this is like the fourth time.
It's elite, you are number 4 because
it's just sad.
I'm like, how is this even possible?
It was totally, I set my eyes on him and I'm like, I will marry him.
What was it about him though?
It was his eyes. He drew me in with his eyes. Like, I just saw so much life and love in his eyes as he was singing and performing. And I'm like, I just have to get to know this guy. So like I sat there with the saxophone player who just constantly was licking his lips, and that alone drove me crazy. And I'm like, I will never date that man because he licks his lips nonstop. So I was just putting the time in just so I could sit with Larry and hang out. And then I don't know, I was something stupid. Like my dad, I always had like the beginning or the first of things, like the first VHS videos, and he was a radio guy. And he had MTV on his TV, which was like a rarity. Like nobody had MTV. And I'm like, yeah, you got to come to my dad's. We have the Who's Going to Be in concert on MTV. And so I invited Larry to come over to watch. Well, I invited everybody, but really it was just
Does he
for
know
Larry.
what's going on at all, or
No,
not?
he's clueless, but he knew like he wanted to hang out and like get to know me, but he's like, yeah, there's no chance. I'm not going to be able to date her. And then his mom and dad came wandering over. Larry John, it's time to go home. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy, he lives with his parents and they're driving him to his gigs. So I kind of chuckled internally, but then it didn't stop. I knew that this was the man that I was meant to be with. So we started dating, and it's been a thing since. So I made the right choice.
I remember one time you showed us a picture. I think Larry showed it to us. It was like his band picture from high school, and he has this huge
afro
sitting next to a tuba.
And that was like lifted and put onto a postcard of Lake Michigan. So it was like Photoshop before Photoshop was a thing.
Why is that?
I think his aunt did it for him. Like that was his senior picture.
I love that dude.
I do too.
The thing that I love about him is he's just, as I'm sitting here thinking about your relationship with him, Larry's probably one of the most authentic people I've ever met. Like 100%. He does, like when you're looking at this and looking at the confidence, you said it was his eyes. I think you saw something deeper in there. And like when we say those things, like I'm going to marry that person, I think it's because we see something that we long for. Mm-hmm. Stability. I mean, even though mom and dad were driving him to his gigs, Larry John, you know.
No, I totally saw that.
You saw something deeper.
He was 100% opposite of what my dad was, and I just knew for sure that when I found the man of my dreams, that it would not be anything like my dad. I love my dad. He did the best he could do in the situation he was in, but I just knew what I needed, and at that moment, I didn't have God, so my entire life was dependent upon my partner, which is so backwards and crazy.
Explain that.
I didn't know who God was even. I mean, going to Catholic schools, wanting to be Jewish, I still had no idea. Like, I had no relationship with Jesus at this time. I just knew that I needed to feel safe, and I didn't know how to feel safe. Like, I had not yet felt safe in my life. Like I would go to bed at night holding on to my mattress straps because I figured if someone was going to hurt me or steal me or take me, that they couldn't get the mattress and me. So like literally I held the mattress straps. This was not like just a little kid thing. This was like all the way till I was 17, 18. I'd have a hand in the mattress strap so that I felt safe to sleep at night. Which is just, when you look back and you think, you know, I didn't know who God was, but holy cow, like the provision he had. And when I look back and imagine my childhood and my life, he was there every second. I just wasn't aware of it.
He was. In hindsight, it's always 2020.
Yeah.
But, so you marry this guy.
Yep.
Big wedding?
We got married so young. So
what is so young?
So young. I had just turned 19.
What?
And Larry was 21. Yep. So we were young.
You were kidding me.
Nope. We were young, and everybody's like, it's not going to work out. We made choices before that. Our parents maybe were like, why are you doing this? We don't believe in this, blah, blah, blah. But we knew what we wanted to do. So we got married. He was still in college. And I had graduated from electrology school. So I was in business with my stepmom as an electrologist. So I was the breadwinner. I made the money, and Larry was finishing off his college degree. So we got married in 1985 and had like, I don't know, 200 people. Got married at Stetson Chapel on K College, and
What kind of wedding? Not a Catholic wedding.
no, we had marriage counseling through I think maybe he was I don't know what he was, Presbyterian. It was the pastor that was K College's chaplain that did the wedding, but we met with him like one time, and he said, are you in it for good? And I'm like, yeah, I don't believe in divorce. He goes, okay, that's all.
And I'm Jewish.
I really wanted to stomp on the light bulbs, but I don't know. He didn't let me do it. So,
Right. So,
yeah.
so you're married, and how long before you had kids?
A couple of years. We had one miscarriage, and then that was probably like 2 years in. So we were busy with music. Like at the time, like I ran my own business, and Larry was in college, but we had a band. He taught me how to play because his bass player quit. So Larry taught me how to play the bass guitar, and I was the bass guitarist. And we were busy playing like in bars and touring around. So we didn't really think about kids at that moment, but I really wanted to be a mom. Like that was
Is Larry a Christian?
He had been to church his whole life. He talked about God a lot, but he wasn't involved in a church at this time. But we never...
So more or less just
out there. He had the like makings of a good guy. Like, he had his little Bible that had his name in it that stated when he accepted Jesus at his Methodist little church. But that was more than I had. So we kind of started out without having any center at all. It was just like survival is where we were in. Our marriage was busy with music and the band life and the bar life. And then I got pregnant for Jonathan, I think 4 years into our marriage. So that kind of changed things. We had a baby, and playing in the band was harder, but we still did it because it was important for Larry. And I still worked. So we figured probably when Jonathan was 2, I think, we decided that this was enough. We were going to move to California, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So we moved in 1990 to California. I sold my business, and I was a stay-at-home mom. And Larry went to work for my dad in California, who owned radio stations. So Larry was in sales. And that's where we really started seeing God. I was upset with it. That's how nice I am. I was upset with it. I didn't understand it.
upset with what?
I was upset with the Christians that were speaking into our lives because I didn't understand. They were like very, very outspoken.
So
Yes.
what? Give me a specific when you
okay.
because like
What I mean by
it could
this,
be anything from political views to whatever. Give me a specific.
there was one specific DJ who worked for my dad, whose his name was Dave, and he was the morning DJ, and he just loved Larry, and he also played music. So God has always had a calling on Larry's life for music. Like when you look back all the way, it's always been through music that God connects him to church, to Christian brothers and sisters. And this man started playing music with Larry, and he came to our house, and I've always seen him. My dad was his boss because he owned the radio station, but I've never seen this man outside of the radio station. But he started to come to our house to play music with Larry. And the first time he came to our house, he came in and he said, "Do you mind if I pray before I enter your house?" And I was so offended. I'm like what? Like I called my dad. I'm like, "You need to fire him. You won't believe what he said to me." And he was Baptist, and he was very out there and very like, did we need prayers? Was our house unsettled? 100%, but we weren't aware of it yet. So God started using people like that. And
So you're telling me kind of hyper Christian.
yes.
Like super. Like awkward,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Very
You said it made you feel kind of like...
I felt condemned and judged, and I was like...
That's it.
So I was my whole life I was that. My whole life I felt judged. I felt not worthy. Then here we go with all these people now that are coming into our lives that are Christians. And my aunt, I had an aunt as well, because my uncle was struggling with cancer, and she was very, very strong in her faith and very she shared it very boldly on, with anybody and everyone. And I never took it as, wow, that's really good word. I just took it as, wow, I'm not worthy. I'm messy. And I couldn't understand anything besides the fact that just more people thinking that I'm not worthy of anything. And Larry started working and doing music at a church in California. One of the biggest Baptist churches in Modesto was where we lived. He started playing with them in the worship team. And that's how God pulls him. And I refused. I'm like, I am not going to church. I told you we can believe in God, not have to be in a church. That was my famous statement always. And was I doing anything about that statement? No. I just would say that statement and feel like I was doing my job. So that was kind of our California life. It was we lived there 4 years. It was just a lot of California. California is very fast-paced and out there. Our marriage was struggling. Financially, we were struggling.
So as I'm listening to you, one of the things that I'm realizing, even I think I said this at the beginning, that I'm going to get to know you more. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I know you pretty well. But I keep hearing this almost like when things get close to Kathy, when something starts to challenge her identity, or maybe the lack of identity, or feeling judged, it sounds like that's a pattern from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. I wasn't enough. Mm-hmm. I lost the marriage, and I lived this, and now I'm living in this government housing,
right.
like way down, and that's Rob's, and now you're that kid.
And I was stupid. I was in stupid classes, they would tell me, which I was. I had dyslexia. I have dyslexia, but they didn't share that with me. They didn't want me to feel stupid. So I was in 4th grade in kindergarten reading with my brother.
Okay, so
yeah.
Over and over and over. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense to me that when that guy comes and says, hey, I want to pray over your house, you don't hear, hey, he wants to bless us. You hear, he sees me as unworthy. He sees me.
Yep.
So you marry this guy, and you're doing pretty good, it sounds like. I mean, I've seen the pictures of you playing bass.
Yeah, watch out.
Always fun. But so you said that we started to struggle. What were you struggling with?
I think there was a lot of struggle. There was financial burdens that were crazy. Larry was the only one working. He worked for my dad. So if you know me, you know that I will sometimes, not anymore, praise God.
We'll talk about that.
I would put my nose places it did not belong. So I was very involved in Larry's job. I was very involved. I overfunctioned for everything in life. So I think what that does is it breaks down the relationship the way God has built it, with him in the center, husband is the head of the house.
But you have no idea.
I have no idea. So I never had it. I always tell my people I work with here and now, if you didn't get to see what a good father behaves like, you can't be that. If you didn't have a good relationship for your parents to witness, you don't know how to have that relation. You have to learn it. So I feel like I was out there in this world. I had made a lot of bad choices that we don't even need to discuss in my younger life. My value, my worth only came from me being pretty and skinny, which sounds really vain, but that was my place in our family, is I was skinny and I was pretty. My sister was very smart. My brother was creative. So I kind of just took that spot, and that's all I had. And that's all I saw myself as. I couldn't look in the mirror and see anything else. So if I gained 5 pounds, I would be like, oh my gosh, I have to take care of this, which then creates eating disorders. And
did you have an eating disorder?
Yes, I have dyslexia. I have bulimia, so which is where you eat and make yourself throw up afterwards. So I struggled with that from high school on, and it comes and goes still. I don't actively make myself throw up, but I just got done doing a stent for a year with another nutritionist, trying to get control of my body and my image of my body, and that God created this temple, and my job is to maintain the temple in a healthy manner.
Do you think, I mean, like modern, I see this all the time. Like if you don't look like this, then you can't, you're not worth it. So you got to do this. I mean, we see this all the time. You see it probably as you counsel people, because you are very involved in people's lives here. That's one of the gifts that you are to this church, is you have an unbelievable, uncanny way of being able to enter into those worlds. And I think as I'm listening to you talk, you've been to those places. You know what it's like to have no real, oh, this is who I am, and especially not being grounded in Christ, and we talk about that.
Right.
But then putting on that front you started with,
Yeah.
putting on that front again, again and again and again and again. So let's cut, because I want to kind of get to a place where I get you here.
Yes,
Does
fast
that
forward.
make sense? Like
Yes.
fast forward, because I could spend the whole day
Right.
talking about all of that.
Yes. So I think fast forward to like when we started, like life.
Yeah, how
life
did you
life.
get here?
Yeah, so we moved back from California, and just to backpedal a little bit on when you come from a divorced family and you happen to be the middle child who happens to have a really good relationship with her dad, yet and with her mom. So you go to both houses and you get along with both, which is sometimes very rare. I was the most amazing manipulator because I could manipulate the situation for peace. I started out doing manipulation to keep peace between my parents as that child. So I became a people pleaser and the world's best manipulator, which then carries. Easy. You could go to your dad's and he's irate about something that your mom said, and my sister would just cry and leave. My brother would cry. My job was always to turn that conversation so that my mom and dad weren't mad at each other. So I would take what my mom would say and I would work it and manipulate it in a way that my dad could receive it without being so mad at my mom.
It's kind of like a mediator.
A mediator, but changing things so that it worked. Not that I was lying. I just was a mediator, but a manipulator to work into both situations. So carry that personality with a control freak, a trust freak. I was a hot mess, not even knowing what a hot mess I was. So we left California and moved back to Michigan because I was done. Larry was done working for my dad. It was just stressful and hard. So we decided to move back to Michigan. We moved back to Plainwell, where I said I never would live. When I left, I married Larry. I was from Kalamazoo. He was Plainwell. I said I will never raise my kids in Plainwell. There's something in the water that makes you podunk. Well, I regret saying that.
What's up, podunk?
And I chose to bring my children to Plainwell and raise them. So we have 3 kids, moved in, been here in Plainwell, have our house. Life is going good. Larry's in sales, making amazing money. I don't do anything. I stay at home, take care of my kids, shop, spend money. And Larry had been doing music for other churches by himself, not me. He had been going to Haven Church, playing a lot there with their band, and I would drop him off and pick him up to go to soccer or whatever, but I did not go into that church. And I just thought, oh my gosh, these weird church people, like sitting in the parking lot being judgy as I picked him up. Then that pastor started coming to our house for guitar. His kids took guitar lessons, so I started having God conversations with him. And then our friends, the Martins, Trent Martin was the drummer in Larry's band, Monkey Chuck. So they played a secular band. And at one time, Trent Martin called Larry and said, oh my gosh, we have a startup church, but we are in need for we could really use your help because there's some things, instruments people aren't understanding. And he said, it's Jason Zimmer's church. And we knew Nate Zimmer. So our daughter Bailey.
Baby Nate.
Yeah, was friends with baby Nate. So they were in the same class together. So we knew of Jason. We knew of you because we saw you on field trips when Larry would fly in his business suit and fly out late. So we had known who you are. So Larry's like, yeah, I'll stop by and check it out and see if I can help out. And at that moment, that's when Larry was called into ministry And I was like, what? What are you doing? And we had been to a charismatic church prior to this calling. Again, Larry was on the worship team and played music. And I said, okay, we had some friends that went there. I'll try this church. It was a bad situation. So we ended up leaving that church. And again, I was like, church is terrible. I'm not doing this. Look at, I told you they're hypocrites. They're this, they're that. Like I've always said, you don't need church. You just need God. And Larry firmly was like, no, I don't believe that. Then he started going to North Point and helping out. And I remember the first conversation he had with you where it's like, hey, where's your family? Blah, blah, blah. Larry came home and said that they really would like the family to come to church, come try it out. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then our middle daughter got diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and we ended up in the hospital. And I just remember Trisha Martin filling my counter with food while we were at the hospital. And I came home and she had done laundry and all this food was here. And she said, she came and visited in the hospital and she goes, I have our church praying for you. And I was like, what? And then it just started to really resonate. And when she said that, I just felt this peace. Like I hadn't felt peace in so long. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I have to go try this. So I remember walking into Plainwell Middle School for the first time when Larry, it was like October, maybe the end of October, because she was sick the end of October. And I walked through North Point's front door and I saw Trisha Martin and I saw your wife, Michelle. And they both came up and said, hi, welcome, and hugged me. And from that point on, I've been at North Point.
When did you give your life to Christ?
Well, I gave my life to Christ in 96, but it was under really weird situation. So I was baptized, and I'm not going to go into the details, but it was just it was that.
This is at that charismatic church, correct?
Yes, at the charismatic church. I accepted Christ, and I got baptized, and there was just conversation amongst the pastor and myself that was not what you would expect or godly, and it just, again, tainted something.
But again, it just fuels what you already know.
Yes.
So now you're one of these people,
Mm-hmm.
a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
but a different Christian.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, because I remember when I first met you, very confident.
Mm-hmm.
Very, I don't know how to, I guess maybe, like you seem like you were all together.
I put on a really good front, didn't I?
Yeah, but like your whole life is all fronts.
Yeah, 100% front.
And yeah, I remember like one of the first times you came to our home, and our kids knew each other, baby Nate and Bailey, and so all of these things together. I remember it's almost like you guys fell into the lap of North Point, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we hired Larry
Mm-hmm.
as the worship director. It was part-time, if I remember
Yep.
right. And he came in as a rookie and everything. I was a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I should do a podcast just where I talk to myself for long periods of time. People will be like, what? But you know how you're a train wreck and you're trying to prove something, and I think as pastor, especially as a pastor, you just want to be liked, you want to make an impact, you want to do all these things. And I always tell people it's amazing, because this year we'll be 20 years old this fall.
That's crazy.
So I was in my 30s when we started.
Isn't that crazy? Like, you were our kids' age.
Yeah. So, like, what?
No wonder we were such a hot mess.
I know, but like, if you think about it, and I'm like, by the grace of God.
Yes.
I mean, like, the dumb stuff I did. Like, I some days I just sit there and I go, oh man, Lord forgive me. And he has.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, how did I ever think that was positive? But enough of me. So I remember Larry coming, and then moving on, because we did have, the church was getting bigger. I remember it was like 300 or something back in a middle school,
Yeah.
and we were tearing up and setting down. And then something strange happened. I want to say it was 2 or 3 years in. Larry went to full time, correct? Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
A lot of other
Yeah.
stuff going on with it. Yeah, it was nuts. But I remember specifically, I think, this is me, the day that you were called into ministry, but I don't think any of us knew what that fully meant. And I remember sitting in a meeting. Do you remember that meeting?
Yeah, I do.
What were we doing? Do you remember?
We were talking about missions and like how we run missions and who ministries. And I was doing a ministry called Chillin' Out at the time, which was an outreach program at Gun River
I forgot all about that.
East. So that's where I think I started really feeling God working in my life for the first time, where I saw these hurt kids that we showed up every Monday night and we ate with them, we fed them, we ate with them, we did a Bible lesson, we played games. And there was about 30 kids a week that would come, and we met there for 8 years. So, but this was in the middle of that, I think towards the beginning of that a couple years in, and I honestly was thinking, yeah, I'm pretty good at this stuff. I got this. Like our kids, this ministry business is going good. Not really being a mature Christian, just thinking that maybe I had a lot to do with it, which we know now I had nothing to do with it. But at that time, you called a meeting of ministry leaders to get together.
One of the worst meetings of my life.
It was I just remember that meeting. It was like
a train wreck.
It was a big mess, but it was okay because at that time you were like kind of talking and asking, and I really felt at that moment for some reason that God just told me to speak up and volunteer and just say, I can do this. Like I can step in and help out with ministries.
Because it was an official kind of thing, because it needed to be. I don't remember that. All I remember was I was in a bad place. I mean, I was like just spent and trying to get stuff. And I remember welcoming the help, not knowing the fullness, neither one of us did, but I remember that. And you seemed like the person to do it. So you had a track record of investing, which now I look at and it says that makes total sense to me. I get that. I was in that hurt spot. I'd been through the divorce. So bam, 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 bam. So of course you're making spiritual deposits. You're making, I don't know, building up that self probably. That's what a lot of ministry leaders do, is they'll be like, yeah, look at me, and the fruit of your ministry. Yeah, I remember that. So, yeah. All right, I want to switch gears. Can I switch gears?
Switch.
So you and I, okay, I'm gonna tell you this. We talked about this the other day, and I think this is a good place for us to kind of talk about this. I am convinced, beyond convinced, that I could see something in you, not because I am a genius, but there was this raw talent and this incredible influence and this wonderful, you're this person, okay? And then there was Larry, and so I could see something in you along, I don't know, am I making any sense of this? I'm trying to say, I saw something that I don't think you saw. I'm not tooting my own horn, but what I'm saying is, my dream was if she could just see how God sees her and live into the fullness of what God has for her, you will be one of the most dynamic ministry leaders on the planet. And I think you are. But man, was it tough getting you there.
It was so tough. And I'm gonna pause it and say that it's only because of the grace of God and your ability to live and lead like a Christian. I want to say even higher, like you are called to be the pastor. You're the head of the flock. But let me tell you what, you don't give up. And that is a character that I've never had besides in my husband. My husband never gives up. Like, we don't give up on each other.
That's because you don't believe in divorce.
There you go. Sometimes, you gotta think about
You
that.
can divorce the pastor. Just get that guy out of your
But
life.
it's because of you and I was so horrible. And I was a nightmare. So I've been here 17 years, right? I want to say I owe you 15 years of apologies daily for my behavior.
Well, and I guess maybe likewise, and so many. So let's talk about this, because I mean, I don't want people to think that this was terrible and this was this. I think it was just a tension. My personal take, if I can share this with you,
I would love it.
Is I think you were afraid of a full commitment and surrender to Jesus.
100%.
That's what we would get a little bit close to that, and I'd be like, hey, do this or this. And then you'd have some sort of exterior threat or image identity or this or that, and it would just fall apart. And I remember sitting there and praying and saying, Lord, and I prayed this, break that girl. Break that girl. Now, I need to be praying that for myself too, but I felt like if this doesn't work, it's not my fault, but I just, for some reason, I've never ever seen you as a person that wasn't going to make it. You know what I mean? It wasn't. But you had to determine through the work of the Spirit and by God's grace to get there.
Right.
So the crazy part is, and this is what I think is dangerous to the church in general, globally, is when a leader is really, really talented. And my buddy Brad preached to the new seminarians last week as they were ordaining these new people. And he talked about the just absolutely vital importance of change, submission, sanctification. Just if you aren't working on self, all of the ministry that you have will be done in some way as almost a facade, or it's a cover, right? Mm-hmm. And I think let's go to 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. What broke Kat? Because I love you, my family loves you, and I like you more now. You were quite a pistol back in the day.
I was quite a pistol.
But like, what happened?
I think that take all of those hurts and traumas and triggers of my life, and now I've brought them along with me into the church. So I'm holding on to a lot of the...
Today, or are you talking in the past?
No, I'm talking in the past.
Okay.
In the past. Probably up, honestly, until like 4 years. Let's go back up until 4 years ago, where I felt when you were preaching that it was a direct hit to me. Like when you would say things and I'd be like, oh, he's targeted me. That's right. He's looking at me. That's meant for me.
Probably was.
I know. Now I look at it. Stop. But I think that it was the whole fact of me not being able to die to self. So I think I'm overly confident and I'm overly sure of myself because I'm a hot mess inside.
Okay, so let me challenge that. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're overly confident. I think you're overly protective.
There you go. That's a good word. Like, I think that's a good. And see,
because you can't be that if you're See, the lack of confidence, Christ-centered confidence,
Yeah.
will change you drastically.
Right.
Keep going. I didn't mean to cut you
Yes.
off.
So this has been like a build up, and like, I love tattoos. So you've seen my arm when I'm doing announcements. I love tattoos. I was sure that my word that was going to change me and break me was trust. So, I
remember that.
peeled the onion, as they call it in counseling, and I got to that core, and I'm like, that's it. It's trust. That's why I'm a hot mess. I just don't trust people. So I tattooed it on my wrist with some really big, bold, ugly birds, and that's still there today. And I look at it every day, and I thank God when I look at that word that He wasn't done with me, because that word trust is a sign to me that I was so off on what I thought. And I think when you are smart, you're able to manipulate others. You can manipulate yourself as well. I thought that I was giving it all to God. I thought that I peeled the onion and got rid of all my baggage. As I tell my people I counsel, I threw all the rocks out of my backpack, but all that dust from the rocks was still in there. And I wasn't done, and I kept thinking I was done, and I would lash out. So like the years with you, I feel like I constantly was knocking at your door, and stupid things would trigger me off, and I'd be like, I'm not called. I can't do this anymore. And I would need you to build me up and show me all the things that happened and all of the things that you saw in me that were callings, but you kept saying, I can't tell you this. This is between you and God if you're called or not. So I would leave, and I would sit with my face on the ground, do my best to try to, fall and submit and ask God for what He had for me. But I just wasn't hearing it, and I wasn't hearing it. Or I'd hear it, and
What's
then
it?
Him saying, you're called. This is it. This is where you belong. And I'd be so like, I'm sure of it. I know God told me this. He led me this direction. He gave me this. But in the meantime, I'm fulfilling the calling that He has placed me in. I'm producing fruit. I'm seeing the evidence that He's using me. Yet I can't admit it. I can't see it for myself. And I think,
So can I say something?
yes, I would love you to.
Do you remember a couple days ago we were talking? And we were talking about people. There's an internal calling and an external calling. And this is like an epiphany. This is like a revelation to me.
Right.
That you're one of the first people, well, maybe not the first, but you're up there, of people that I've seen that it was obvious to me that like the fruit and the effectiveness and the things about what you could do in ministry were so high. It's usually the other way around. Someone says, oh, I feel internally called. And so then they go through all the steps and all this different stuff. And then, on the outside, you're looking and going, okay, is this person faithful to service even while because you can have an internal call. I could never challenge that.
Right.
You're the opposite.
Right.
Someone, I think this external, you grew into.
Yep.
Like, does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect
man?
sense.
Like you were being pruned.
Yes.
And now the internal and the external calling have produced twice as much fruit, twice as much peace, twice as much joy.
Right.
That's what I see.
No, it's so true. And it's such I could blame it on hormones. I could blame it on all kinds of things why I was such a hot mess in those few years. And just a punk. I was mouthy. And
Yeah, but where did you finally go?
I finally went to...
Because we all can look back and go, I was a punk.
Right. No, I know that I can tell you the moment, and I'm going to have to think how to cautiously... I was in the car driving with somebody, and it was a road trip, a little bit of a road trip. And I remember doing the road trip, coming back into work, coming into knocking on the door. You said, come on in, and we sat down, and I explained to you who I was with and what I was doing, and I just said it just hit me.
Was that the one where you were like, just bawling.
Yeah.
Because you found out you were the very thing you didn't want
Yes.
to be.
Yes. And my whole life I worked really hard on being something that I worked really hard to avoid being like this person. Yet God just used that hour drive for me to realize you're lying to yourself. You're looking in that mirror every day, denying the truth. Like, he used that moment, and that was my breaking point. I lost it. I came in, and I'm like, I've been lying this whole time that I'm not like this person, and I am totally like this person. And I had to just lay that out and repent and ask God to rip it out of me. And thank you for showing me that. And that's that kind of a moment where, as I talk about, you're going up the mountain, or sometimes you get knocked like a sheep walking up those steep mountains, and sometimes you get that sheep falls back down into that valley. And when we're in the valley, that's a great place to be. It hurts. It's not easy to be down there.
Right.
But God has something for you. So don't lay in that valley full of self-pity. Lay in that valley saying, God, what is there for me? And at that moment, I was that sheep in the valley, opening my eyes, saying, God, I'm ready. What do you have for me? And it was, hey, die to self. Because
But don't you think that everyone is blind to their own stuff?
I think, yeah, to a certain degree, I think you are. I mean, I can definitely think on both of my hands.
Because let's be honest, you don't want it to be true.
No, I tried so hard.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
when you came in, I remember that you going, like, do you remember this saying you used to, because you used to go to a bunch of counseling, right?
Yeah. Sure did.
Recommended more. But I remember you saying the statement you got that has stuck with me my whole life, and I've cracked it off from the stage. If I wrote a book, it would be in it. I've dropped it at Thanksgiving table. I've done all this. And that's that thing when something comes up is asking, what if it's true?
Right.
So I'm angry. So everybody says I'm angry. What if it's true?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you said, God said, this is kind of true.
Yep.
And you've been denying it and pushing it off and blaming everybody else.
Yep.
And now we're going to do this. So the road to recovery, I'm sure you just prayed one time and you were good, right?
That's all it took. One time on the floor.
What's up? Yeah, there you go.
No, it's a constant. I mean, the beginnings and the first couple months, it's always really present right there because you're aware of it. But it's also a hard situation when it's somebody you love and they did the best they could do, yet you don't want to be that. You don't want to be that person. So all I could do, it's my Jesus goggles. Like, I put on my Jesus goggles, and that's my daily morning wake up is I pray for protection from the enemy, because the enemy loves still to mess with me if I give him that space. But it's my Jesus goggles. And what I needed to learn was to see people like Jesus sees them, and not through the human judgment eye, not through the criticism eye, not through I'm better than you eye. The worst thing I think we can offer as Christians is pity to people. I think pity is a tool that makes us feel like we're doing what we're supposed to do, but in reality it's
What do
throwing.
you mean by that? Like,
There's a difference between pity and empathy, I think, when you see people and you're really
that's a good word.
you're really hurting for people. I mean, empathy is your heart pours out for that person and you want better, you pray, you feel where they are. Pity is a judgment. Look at that person. I feel sorry they're there.
Yeah.
My person that really rubbed me the wrong way is very good at that. And that was a thing I really paid attention to, and I still do every time when I'm helping or when my heart goes, because it's a trigger. When you've been brought up a certain way and your mind goes there, I'll slip once in a while still, and when I slip, I'm like, oh God, please forgive me and help me not to do that again. But it's retraining the brain, it's snapping that rubber band on your wrist when you instantly have a sarcastic, funny thing to say, when in reality, I need to see that person as Jesus sees them and meet
Which
them.
I've seen you I mean, like I told you this numerous times. I don't even know who you are anymore. I mean, the joy to me, a lot of people don't know this about me. I find probably at the top of my list, I enjoy preaching. I love doing these. But the top of my list is seeing someone come to that place where they are living now in the fullness. So like I was blind, now I see, and then to see that vision improve and improve and improve. So like someone that was lost and now found, I love that part of it. But the greatest, like a trophy of grace I talk about, where God got a hold of them, it wasn't my skill set or my doing, it was Him.
Right.
And now I see you manifesting that into other people like crazy. Did you ever see yourself in ministry?
Never. Never, ever.
Did you ever see yourself as a rabbi? Couldn't be one anyway.
Darn it. No. Yeah. No, I never.
You like what you do?
I love it.
Why?
Why do I love it? Because when in our day-to-day jobs...
Don't give me no Christian answers. Give me the Kathy Lowis answer.
I'm giving you the Kathy Lowis answer because it's not it's what do I do is what it's who I am. I don't do anything. God does it through me.
Good word. So do you feel fulfilled?
100% fulfilled. Like 100%. Every day I wake up and I thank Him for this opportunity, and I thank Him that He sees this in me and that He still sees this, and I thank Him for you. Go figure. And I truly do mean that. I'm not saying that because I'm on your podcast talking, but you were a huge part. I feel that God's path was made for me. He knew I would be sitting here on this podcast today. He also knew that He was going to give me a friend named Jason Zimmer 17 years ago, who was going to see something in me that I never would have seen and nobody else would have seen. But
that's what I think we all have to do.
Yeah, we all have to, and that's why I say.
So let me give you an example. And I don't know why this is so hard for people. So Jesus chose the craziest dudes He could for His disciples. He didn't choose the superpower leader. He didn't choose the mega church. I mean, they didn't have churches back then.
Right.
But the synagogue, there's no Pharisees on there.
Right.
No Sadducees. Yeah, I think I'll take a tax collector, a dude that will deny me, one that will doubt and call fire down on a city. Thomas I'm talking about. But I always feel like that's what, like when we talk about through it all, I want to say so much right now, like I just want to say this, but I think we should be cheering for the underdog.
100%.
And my statement is, God called me to tame wild horses, not pump life into dead ones. And I feel like you're that, the underdog.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jesus building the church off of Peter makes sense.
Right.
I sold out. I was hurt. Man, you talk about fears. And so I think for you, it's just been like your best years are ahead.
Right.
Like you think you'll work here till you're 90?
I mean, we do have a ramp up onto the stage, so I'm just saying, if the time comes that I need to use it, I might be.
Get a wheelchair. We got one out there. I'm sure it's
you
still
can
here.
wheel me around. I mean, no,
Is.
I literally don't even think of this as when people say, "Do you work?" I'm like, yeah, but I don't call it that. Like, this is a gift. I truly believe
you pour.
That what I get to do is a gift, and I will be here at North Point Church until God tells me otherwise, because I love, and He's not done ever. I would tell you 9 times out of 10, I will take the underdog, and I see them, I understand them. What used to really scare me were the church people. And to be straight honest, they scared the living pants off of me. And now God has, in the last couple of years, really opened my heart to them, to look at them.
Do you think that you were scared of them because they knew more than you?
I felt,
Or
yeah, I felt unworthy. I felt like,
again,
yeah, why would God call me, a girl that wanted to be Jewish, that spent every day in detention?
but would it be fair to say that that whole breaking of you is that you really realized you were
Worthy?
the daughter of the king?
100%. 100%. When I really, really, really figured that, like, you could say it. It's easy to say, you know it. But, and that's the part where I think for a few years working, I could try to manipulate myself or the system, saying that, yeah, I got it. I got this. I know what God has for me. When in reality, I was just faking it until I make it. And you can't fake it. God knows. And that's what I always tell my grandkids. Dude, God knows what you're thinking, and God knows what you did. So either share it or deal with him, because, you know.
So let me challenge you on something. You can fake it,
Yeah,
but you won't have
the joy. So that's
smart girl.
That's what I have found in the last 2 years. The joy that just pours out. I mean, I wake up, I'm joyful. Like, I truly understand what it means to, our old 6 pillars used to be joy over happiness. And I remember, like, that was really hard for me to understand when I first started coming to church.
Oh yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Or we over me. Frontier over fortress. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, and it was joy over happiness. And
Those are the choices we were making.
Yeah, and I always thought, wow, that's a hard one. Really, it was hard for me. And now I look back at that, and I'm like, holy cow, I was living happiness, you know? And Insta stories, Instagram, all these things that are in everybody's face every single day, those are all things that are going to make us happy. But none of those things are going to bring us joy.
That's a good word.
You know, it's, if I could just speak that into people every day, you know, those are tactical. Those are things that can leave us tomorrow. At a drop of a hat, your beautiful house could go up in flames. Whatever it be, your beautiful face could be scarred, if that's what your worth is. But when you put your worth in Jesus, how do you go wrong? I mean, he's always there. He never leaves you like your earthly people. He never looks down upon you. He never holds grudges. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. You know, like.
Do you remember talking about Trent? I love Trent's statement one time. He said to me, it's kind of similar to what you're just saying. He's like, and with tithing, he goes, I get to keep 90 and give 10% to God. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, right.
I remember,
you know?
I remember like him sitting there and going, what? Oh, Trent, that's so simple.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what you're saying is it's so simple, yet it's so difficult
So
to
hard
get there.
to get there. And it takes, you know, if I'm going to sit here and say anything, I'm going to say, you know what, those people, those young people, the medium, the old, get mentors. You need someone.
Who mentors you?
Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to ask that. My sweet Janet Hoke. So Janet.
Do you know
Hoke,
what she was? She was the what do they call it? With the people that sign the book at your wedding or help people.
a witness?
No.
Oh,
That's
what? The hostess?
the hostess. That's it. Yeah.
The wedding coordinator?
I don't know
what you call
but
her.
Her and Lee.
At your wedding?
Oh yeah, I got big roots with her. Like you got the best of the best.
And so many times that woman.
Does she call you out?
All the time she'll call me out and she goes, sweetheart, you are not your husband's Holy Spirit. I'd be like, yes I am sometimes.
I want to teach that man what's up. Isn't it funny though? I want to spend a little minute there with what you're saying, because I think that is a missing link in so many people's lives where they're not able to get from point A to point B. You know, you get halfway and then we bounce back and we fall back in this and that. Accountability. I know in your ministry, you hold people accountable. Okay? And how important is that?
Huge.
Why?
Because I think accountability is something that brings the inward thoughts outward, if that makes any sense at all. When we keep our inwards in as we negotiate, talk, create in our own head, it's easy to manipulate those and hear God, but not God. Like sometimes we really want to hear what we want to hear, and we're like, it's from God. But when you bring it verbally outward to a trusting brother or sister in Christ, who then can hear it, digest it, throw it back at you, and then pray with you over it, I feel accountability is outward. We see it. Here it is. It's a way of keeping truths. I think when we keep it inward in our head, a lot of people are like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want accountability. It's easy. It's easy. I did it for years.
Isn't it like when you decide you're going to make a change? Okay, so let me give you an example. I got buddies and they want to change something. Okay. Being the fact that we're not them, I'll speak of me, I can be deceptive.
100%.
Because being vulnerable and then, saying, hey, and that's again, trying to look like you're all together when everybody knows you're not.
Right.
Right. I found in my life that accountability is this gift. And sometimes I leave and I'm mad.
Right.
So I'm like, man, how can you dare say that to me, man? I told you I was working on it, And yet I go, and again, it's because we're being exposed.
Yeah.
And I think there's value in coming clean.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like I've got buddies that I'm like, man, the emotion, the hurt, the pain. Well, I gotta look this way. What?
Right.
Like what do you like? That's your own facade. That's your own idea. That's your own thinking.
Yep.
So that's grown you quite a bit. I know that to be true.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have a better
No, accountability
mentor.
is so important, and just allowing, I can sit here and talk and pretend that I'm holier than holy and never make mistakes, but guess what? Every day I'm falling. Even though I try not to, I fall. I may swear while I'm playing pickleball, and I may ask for forgiveness and go, why do I keep swearing when I'm playing pickleball? Some stupid little things, but I think the secret is that when we can talk about that and say, you know what? I am human, and I do my best at pleasing Jesus. I do my best at living like him. I'm never going to reach that point, but I never quit trying.
But don't you think that's the most important thing? That's the goal?
Yes, 100%.
I was just talking to somebody about this a few days ago, and we're working together towards some outcomes, some strategies, some new thinking. A lot of stinking thinking going on there, and learning those things. But saying to him, look, this is an opportunity, man. And coming clean, becoming that person that God wants you to be is vitally important. But it takes being true. Like, it takes, yeah, that's me. I'm messed up. I had more to go on that, but
it's a
I
lot
lost
of
my track of thought.
It's a lot of, it's like that Brene Brown, I think is how we say her name, but she's always the one that said, shame can't grow when you open the closet door. And I think that's so truthful. And I think that plays into accountability. That plays into mentor. That plays into Christian accountability. Someone that you can open that door and say, yeah, I have this problem. And they can say, thank you.
But don't you think that we don't want to do that because we're convinced that people won't like us?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And that's the part that I wish that my prayer always is, that we can see each other with the Jesus goggles on, but we also can see each other as Christ sees us. Not wiping away what dirt there is, but not letting that dirt stop our love. We're not called to judge people. We're called to love people. And I think that's a hard part for a lot of people to, well, if I'm living the life like a Christian, then I'm going to be bold and strong in this area. And yeah, I'm going to be bold and strong in love and leave the judgment up to Jesus. I'm to remind you, and as your accountability, I will remind you, is this godly? Is this biblical? Let's get the Bible out. Let's cross-reference this over. But I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to shame you. I'm not going to hold this over your head. I'm going to walk with you, and I'm going to direct you to Jesus, because that's all I can do is.
Yeah, that's a great word, Kathy. Like, I think about what shame does. I mean, I think about people that are hiding their own shame, so they shame someone else, because then they can, it can redirect the eyes over to this person rather than me. Yeah, that's just, we could talk for hours and hours. And what was the one that you gave me that one time from Brene? Something about comparison. Is the thief of joy? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And we compare a lot and contrast a lot of stuff. You have a quite a big ministry here with the table.
Mm-hmm.
And so last week or 2 weeks ago, I had Mike and Tracy on here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched you now, from your transformation, are now encouraging other people to that same stepping out of faith, growing in the faith and stuff. And so I give you kudos that you're prompting someone like a Tracy who's saying, yeah, she said I could do it. And you think about that, somebody told you a long time ago, you can do this, God has this for you in this, and he'll make that come true if you're submitting to him, and it is your calling. Not everyone who feels called is called to full-time ministry,
Right.
And I always tell people, I told my kids, I said, man, if you get called into ministry, you better make sure, because this thing will eat you alive, because you're just dealing with things so often. You're all into pickleball now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when you guys are like full-blown members and everything, right?
We are. We're the big dills. It's just a really good way to, I don't know, it's something I can do that I can giggle. I am not good. And
yeah, but I heard you're a fierce competitor.
I am very I try not to be competitive because I don't want to be that person. But I have my partner who is
Your husband.
I have my husband, and he has those rose-colored glasses. He'll hit it into the net 5 times in a row and look at me and say, "Don't give me that look." And I'm like, "But dude, 5 times." And then he's like,
there is a limit. Yeah.
He's like, "But I did this better." I'm like, yeah. So I just love that it grows me as a person.
Do you guys do you feel like a couple of years ago, like even let's say 10 years ago, I wouldn't see you doing this.
No,
because you would be afraid
Yeah.
of not being the best, and then you would probably use language to be like, "Oh yeah, we're the best," and I'd be like, "No, you're not." And then you'd be like, "Oh yeah, people want to be like us." No, they don't.
I mean, I still get, and I think that's it. So sometimes I like to go out and be challenged in areas that I know are my weak spots, so that I am well aware. I'm well aware of my weak spots. And my husband, who is also my best friend, is probably my strongest caretaker in this area. He never allows me to stay in my box. He's constantly questioning and in his in his way, not like my way. Get out of the box. Go try. I mean, very kind and gentle and caring, pushes me into things that are really out of my comfort zone. Back in the day, it was playing bass guitar and singing in the band. That was so out of my comfort zone. But up to these days, mountain biking. When I'm mountain biking, I am scared to death of that bike. And I'm like, I'm going to die. And I just can trust him. Like, I have him to follow and listen. And, back when I first met you, I think the thing we fought about a lot was the verse about submitting wives submit to your husbands, and
Is this okay?
and that
We're
used
gonna
to
shut
really
this
really
off
got
right
me.
now. No,
But
I mean it was just like
I just didn't understand it, and I did not.
yeah, and I don't think anybody does, like, because they think to submit, like, and this is something that I like when I'm talking to new couples for this. I think sometimes when you use the word submit in the modern, like, in the modern thinking, 21st century
Yeah.
mindset,
Right.
it's like this terrible thing,
Right.
like terrible. And if a man, this is what I've always tried to get, if a man is living into his calling, okay, he will be building his wife up and loving her like Christ loved the church. So I sometimes I struggle with that. It's like submit, that old school thing, basically what you would hate about other people. I don't think it's that at all. I think it's coming under the care and the love and the protection. Do you remember telling me one time that you could fight, that you didn't need protection? You're like, I could fire people up. I'm like, what?
See, and but like I love it.
That's
So
independence.
it's independence because I didn't trust, because I didn't trust men, because I didn't have anybody there for me. So I learned to take care of myself. And let me tell you, parents, mothers, if you've done it wrong, it's not too late to go back and tell even if they're growing children, own it and submit and say, I am sorry, repent to God first, your kids second. Because I raised my girls with I got this taken care of, I can do it without you, because that's how I ran my life, and that's how I ran our marriage. Can you hear me saying this? I ran my marriage. But when God came in the center of our marriage and we got our house aligned properly with God, and then Larry is the head of the house, all things changed. And when I hear wives submit to your husbands, I don't even get goosebumps anymore. It doesn't even stir me, because I know what that looks like in our house, and I know how it works in God's order and God's plan.
So let me ask you this. Don't you think that your transformation 3-4 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it's been, and this progressive work towards that has allowed you to see that now because God humbled you?
100%. 100%. He
You
humbled my
can't,
butt.
yeah, you're never going to be humble if you haven't been humbled.
Yeah, you have to be able to see it, and then go back to your growing kids.
That sounded kind of dumb.
That
Go
sounds
ahead.
dumb, but it's okay. But to go back and say, girls, I didn't do this right, and I have to ask for your apology.
You speak into a lot of those relationships where there's a lot of struggle and hurt and
Yeah, but I see it because our marriage started out without God in the center, and I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about the difference and the change it made in our life, in our marriage, in our kids' lives, in our kids' marriages. And I will talk to anybody about it, because you got to work. And you know what? If you don't start your marriage out that way, you're not done. You're not set aside. God hasn't forgotten you. It just takes a little bit of work and remembering and working to get him in that center and understanding that, because God is the one that's going to fill your hearts. Your husband is your helpmate. God
that's a good word.
is the person that will fill it with love. And I learned that, and I think that's part of my last 3-4 years. I truly have understood that I had that all backwards and wrong. And when I opened my heart to God to fill it, we've had health scares with Larry where, he died and came back. And I've been faced
heart
with
attack. I remember that.
Yeah, I've been faced with my husband. I got the call, your husband's dead. And what do you do to that? Then, oh no, he's back to life now. And that's where I feel God has moved huge in my life during those times. And the fear that you hold on to when you hear that your husband has gone and he's dead, and the earthly hold you have on that. And now looking at it, knowing that every single day I have with him is a gift from God, but I'll be okay either way.
But it goes back to being alone.
100%. Hold on to my mattress straps.
Yeah, you're afraid of alone, and now you're not, because you know you're not. You
I'm
said
not alone.
that.
Yeah, I'm not alone. I have God. God has me, and I can get through anything with Him. Yeah, it will be really hard, but I know I can get through it. And I just can't imagine. Like, I look back, and I was talking to someone, and like, does that make you sad? Like, when you look back at the little Kathy, and like, when I look at pictures, I get sad. And like, my daughter Bailey will get really like worked up over it, and she's like, I just feel so sad for you. Like, look at your eyes. Like, you look so scared, and and I'm like, yeah, but now I look back and I know God had me, and I don't have any regrets.
Would you change anything?
Never.
See, that's what Chris said.
Never,
in my
ever.
second podcast.
Yeah.
Being addicted to opioids, all this other stuff. He goes, I would have never been. He goes, I can't help but think I would have never met that chaplain who read the scriptures to me. And I look at you now, and I'm like, my buddy Brad says, there is no such thing as wasted suffering in God's economy.
That's good.
And I could tell you this. I could talk to you all day long. But I think now, my hope is that when people see this, is that you're not just the lady on the stage. You're not just the person at the door. You're not just the person who, makes everything happen here. But they see you as someone who is truly being changed, has been changed, and continuing to change in Jesus.
Right.
And that's what I think I would love to see more people just finally come to that aha moment.
Right, right.
I think we push away the aha for 10 years. It's always been there. But
I think the aha moment comes in God's timing. Like, I don't think it's a surprise to God that my aha moment took this long to get here. It's not a surprise that God put you in my life to be my cheerleader and to never give up on me and to not listen to my I quit 5 million times stories. God gave me what He needed to give me when He gave it to me, and the timing was perfect. It's His timing. Am I there? Heck no. I won't be there even when I see Him face to face. Who knows if I'll be there? That's my question for Him. Am I there yet? Have I achieved it? But I just take it as every day the glory goes to God. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I don't give Him the glory, because I wouldn't be here. My life wouldn't be what it is. My family wouldn't be what it is. I wouldn't be able to share the light with others if I didn't have the joy in my heart that God placed there. So,
final words. What would you tell somebody?
What would I tell somebody?
Listening to this podcast.
I think that listening to this podcast,
it's the hardest question I ask.
Yeah, I think it's a really hard thing, but I think that your worthiness has nothing to do with your earthly experiences. Your worthiness has everything to do with your relationship with Jesus and realizing whose you are, how He knit you together perfectly and wonderfully. And from that, life is okay and it will be beautiful. But I just feel anyone listening, we all struggle with worthiness. We all struggle with the day-to-days. I don't have what they have. But when we really look up at God and go, I have everything you could ask for, and find peace in that. Like, how do you not?
So good, yeah. Well, man, thank you.
Thanks for having me. I mean, literally, that like goes for thanks for having me, like, for 17 years. 17 years of you and I.
I think you have been a vital piece to the health that we experience now in this church. And my heart is that these podcasts will get more and more authentic. They get more and more real. And I appreciate you being real and saying, yeah, this is who I was, but this is now the truth. You're awesome.
Thank you. So are you.
All right. Thanks for coming, Kathy. I
Thanks for
appreciate it big
having me.
time.